Hello, friends. Welcome to Systematic Geekology. If you're watching this video, perhaps you're watching it on our YouTube page. And we just want to do a quick video to share with you who we are and what we're about, where we came from, where we're going, all in like 5 minutes. So we are Systematic Geekology. We are the priest to the geeks. And when we say we're priests to the geeks, we don't necessarily mean that all of us are ordained ministers and priests in the church somewhere or in some religion. But what we're saying by the word priest, we mean the kind of original definition of that word as kind of a mediator. And so here we are, mediators between those things that we geek out on and the deeper questions around philosophy and theology. So we call ourselves the priest to the geeks. Sometimes I'll use the phrase systematic geekologists because we are going deeper than just the surface with the things that we geek out on. So everybody geeks out on something. We whether that's Star Wars or Star Trek or Dungeons and Dragons or manga or Kingdom Hearts, like my friend Joshua here. And all of them, most of those things, not only are we entertained by those things, not only are they stories we really love because they capture the human experience and the human condition, but they most of the time raise questions that everybody wrestles with, like what does it mean to be human? Is there a God or not? Is there a purpose to the universe? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? So that's what we try to do with our podcast and with these videos, to not only just have a sense of community with friends, to share that like everybody geeks out on something and this is a safe place for to geek out on whatever you want to geek out on, but also like, hey, let's go a little deeper. What questions does it bring to the surface that we can wrestle with together as a community, as brothers and sisters in a family of faith? Joshua, what am I leaving out?
So yeah, you simply cannot convince me. There's not bigger questions when you see Mickey, aka the King, being a light that was in pure darkness in the kingdom of all hearts, who then befriends someone who became a slave to darkness. You can't tell me that there isn't some bigger questions there.
Seems like that's a story I've heard before somewhere
Yeah,
in
you
a
must have
lot
played Kingdom Hearts, right?
in a lot of places. I don't know Kingdom Hearts, but I know that plot line. I don't know Kingdom Hearts one bit, but I know that plot line. And yeah, and so like, yeah, I'm Will Rose, one of your hosts. This is Joshua Noel, and not that long ago, a few years back, I was on his podcast, the Whole Church Podcast, and I shared how I started a God Loves Geeks book club in my church, where we were like in the narthex talking about the Marvel movies and things we're geeking out on and sci-fi and the books we were reading. And then we said, why don't we make it an official club where we gather not just in the narthex, small talk, what do we think of the movie, but what if we like gathered together over a drink or over a meal inside the church or outside the church, wherever we want to do, a bookstore, coffee house, and talk about those things that we're geeking out on. And so as I shared that kind of story with Joshua on his podcast, he was like, I have an idea. We should do a podcast. And it's like, you know what? There's a lot of people doing podcasts. There's a lot of geeky podcasts out there and a lot of good choices. We often recommend those podcasts to others. But what we like to do here is say, what's a different take? What's a niche that we could kind of fill, or a gap we could fill? And we thought Systematic Geekology would be a place where, yeah, we could have these conversations, that what we were doing with God Loves Geeks and finding God in comics at North Carolina Comic-Con, which I did a few times. How can we bring that and grow a community here with Systematic Geekology? And we were a podcast for a long time, just recordings. You could go to our website and see, but now we're venturing into the YouTube universe and sharing kind of live streams and that kind of thing. So yeah, Joshua.
Yeah, and part of what I think makes our show unique is it's not always Christian ideas. We don't, just talk
Mm.
about a thing and then throw what's the Christian message at the end. We want to ask what is the question that these IPs are asking. We just recorded about The Last of Us, and rather than saying can we cram the Bible into this story, we said what's
Mm.
this story asking us, and how do we answer that as individual humans who happen to be Christians? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a bait and switch. It's not like, hey, let's lure you with a geeky topic or a geeky IP or the latest, most popular sci-fi movie, and then at the very end, we're going to Jesus juke you and go, oh, here's this Bible verse, and do that kind of thing. We really legitimately want to authentically geek out with you, and whatever questions you had, it's a safe space to ask whatever question. And there are times when we disagree with one another. Sometimes when we agree with one another. Sometimes we think think like, yeah, that is not my cup of tea. Go for it. I'm sure Kingdom Hearts is great, but I'm probably not going to go down that road. Joshua can take that and run with it. So we try not to geek shame anybody, but we also understand that there may be times when our favorite fandom rubs us the wrong way or makes a creative change or decision that we don't like, and we want to talk about it. We get passionate here. There's nothing wrong with that, but we also want to model for others a healthy way to have a conversation around these things that we are passionate about.
Yeah, and you can be a Christian, you can be a geek, and you can also not be a jerk. That's the main thing.
I think there's a t-shirt. There's a t-shirt with that on it.
Yeah, where can I find one of those?
Yeah, and it's even on a coffee mug. Where could you find one of those?
Yeah,
Perhaps on our website, merch tab. But yeah, we have a Patreon. We'd love for you to support our community. We have a lot of fun things that we want to do that Patreon will support and will continue to support. We want to go out and meet people where you're at in your local community at local Comic Cons, and Patreon's going to help support that to get a table or meet you wherever that may be out in the world. Who knows? We might meet you. I know we have listeners in Iceland because it shows on our thing. So maybe one day we do an excursion and a vacation. We do Systematic Geekology Con in Iceland, where they shot like a scene from Star Wars Rogue One or a Game of Thrones. So that would be pretty rad.
or just keep going to New Zealand. Eventually, I will make it there one day.
Yeah. Do we have listeners from New Zealand? Do we have listeners from New Zealand?
I don't know. I just want to see the Shire.
We'll do it. We'll make that happen. Well, folks, just a short video to let you know who we are. Chime in, comment, let us know. Smash the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, do all that. And until next time, remember, we're all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.